Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Solar Opposites, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hey, y'all.
And Alex Bonilla.
Greetings.
Yes, greetings, Earthlings, or something like that. We're talking the first season of the new adult animated series Solar Opposites, which is on Hulu. The first 8 episode.
In case you forgot, it's on Hulu.
Well, if once you watch it, you will understand that it's on Hulu. So that'll be cemented. But if you've not heard of it, it is 8 episodes on Hulu. Now it came out yesterday, May 8th. It is created by Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland and Rick and Morty head writer Mike McMahon. Very Rick and Morty vibes, including the same exact credits. Okay, we'll get to that later. But we're excited for Solar Opposites, new project from Justin and Mike's. Their work on Rick and Morty's great, and we will be reviewing the whole first season now. If you've not yet seen the first season of Solar Opposites, we're going to try to stay spoiler free just for the first few minutes. So keep listening if you want to know whether you should check it out. We'll tell you whether we recommend it or not. And then we'll get into spoilers after that, going through everything about the first season of Solar Opposites. We're overlyanimated.com. We talk about a bunch of, we're overly animated at overlyanimated.com. We talk about a bunch of animated shows and movies. Find us there on iTunes, search for Overly Animated, or on YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated. So, we're going to start off spoiler free here and just talk about, really all I want to know, did you enjoy watching all 8 episodes of the first season of Solar Opposites, Delaney?
Okay. I didn't hate it. I think there were some episodes I really enjoyed, and there were some that were, fine. I don't think I hated any of it, unlike my fiance, who hated every single second of her having to sit next to me and watch these episodes. But I thought there were some gems in there. I really like the kids. The kids amuse me to no end. And yeah, so I did. I wouldn't say I'm super excited about more content, but I would probably watch more.
Okay. The Replicants. They're the
Replicants. Yeah. I like the Replicants, and I'm curious to see where we're going, I guess. I'm not blown away by any means, but I enjoyed parts of it.
Okay, that's fair. And we will be getting more Solar Opposites, as it had an initial 16 episode order, so we'll get a second 8 episode season at least. Yeah,
that's weird. It's kind of a weird amount.
It's a weird number, yeah. I assume they made them together. We could maybe expect it this year, but that hasn't been confirmed. I don't think. Okay, right. Alex, how did you enjoy Solar Opposites?
It took me a bit. My initial reaction, I watched the first 2 episodes, and I wrote out on the Discord, this feels like just interdimensional cable extended out to a full episode length, and it takes a bit to get its footing, but I do think that by the second half of the season, it ends up doing enough to be on its own a funny enough show. The classic odd couple, fish out of water, aliens viewing Earth life, there's so much soil to be dug into there. So the end.
Alex is till the soil.
Yeah, I was looking for that word. Thank you. I was going to say toil, but till.
Toil.
Right.
But the replicants were grown in the soil. I don't know though.
Apparently.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, so I think that they find their footing, and obviously you have to come to terms with the fact that it's not going to be as highbrow as Rick and Morty is in its best episodes. You got to put a lower bar for it. But once you settle into the perspective that this is an alien sitcom, I've seen Third Rock from the Sun used as a comparison. It's a lot more low stakes, and once you settle into that, you can enjoy the jokes a bit more, not expecting too much out of it. I'll say it probably goes a bit too heavy on pop culture references for my taste. I felt that's one thing that could be a turnoff for some people, since it uses that a lot. But when it sticks to the more aliens figuring out society type of thing, or when they go more off the wall, certain episodes in the second half, that's where I think it's at its best. So. Solar Opposites is I think it ends up being a pretty good show, but definitely its better episodes are kind of stacked at the end.
I wanted to kind of piggyback off what Alex said, and I was thinking about saying something about it later, was that it is a sitcom, and I think that's will impact like how the show is received, because a lot of people I think expect this to be, it's like Rick and Morty is not a sitcom, and so I think that's you come into this thinking it's like because it's hard not to be like, oh, this is just alien Rick and Morty, but it's not. It is a sitcom, which I think, like Alex, once I figured out, like once you watch it like a sitcom, it improves because like your bar is lowered. And I mean, I don't like sitcoms, like I don't watch them. So, but I will say this will be interesting to see like this animated alien sitcom. Like I think it's an interesting concept. And I think once you get over that hump and you accept it for what it is, it improves greatly. And like they even make fun of themselves, like they have this whole episode basically with the sitcom mom. So I think that's really that's going to be like, that's what's kind of going to determine, I think, the reception for this show is like, either you're mad it's not Rick and Morty, or you figure out early enough that it's to accept it as an alien sitcom, which, Alien Odd Couple sitcom at its core, great idea. But I think it also depends on whether or not you like sitcoms. Though I will say I don't like sitcoms. I did enjoy like watching several of the episodes.
That's good. Yeah.
You just kind of have to accept it. Like once you've like figured it out.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say also, like, I think that in the earlier episodes, it's more sitcom-y in that there doesn't feel like there's any consequences to the actions. There's not a particular angle that's being hit at. Whereas, like, later episodes, like the sitcom mom one you point at, or episode 7, they have their tropes that they're hitting on, and they're making commentary on, similar to what Rick and Morty does a lot of the time. Like they're focused around making fun of something in popular culture, but they have a particular message about it. And I think that's where Solar Opposites does its best work, when there's actually something beyond just the basic story of they mess something up and they have to fix it. So I think that's like a part that gets more focus in the better episodes. Like Rick and Morty. I feel like does its best when it's making fun of something specific and it has a particular angle on it.
Yeah, we'll definitely dig into the comparison to Rick and Morty. I think that's what everyone's going to make. I definitely agree this is more of a sitcom than Rick and Morty. In terms of the references to things mentioned before, I think that might work more for some people, might work less. Yeah,
depends.
People's perspectives, how sitcom like that they are. I mean, I don't know, like BoJack's, like, I think is heavily a sitcom. I think Rick and Morty in some ways is too, but this is much more. I really enjoyed Solar Opposites. I'm probably the highest on it. I do think it takes a little bit to get going. I think once you get toward the end of the season, there's 2 killer episodes and a few other really good ones as well. So I recommend watching it, and I recommend sticking with it. I think the early episodes aren't bad either. I think my favorite thing about this show is that it moves really fast paced, much like Rick and Morty. It escalates, but it's more contained, I would say. Like, I think Rick and Morty goes off the rails. This show escalates, keeps in terms of its humor, and it kind of stays a little bit more grounded, which I think is fun. I think
it's more unlike Rick and Morty. Like, we have the family in Rick and Morty, but like this is it being a sitcom. Like, it's grounded in the family. Like, we hold
to it more, and we also hold to the ABC structure a little bit more, I think. Which
definitely with the kids, like we have like whatever Terry and Corvo were doing, and then kids.
You get half of the episodes have a pupa C plot. But I think the show's funny. I think there's a lot here. I think it has one of my favorite TV episodes of the year, episode 6. It has an incredible escalating gag, which you have to see to believe. Like, I would watch it just for that.
Good.
Just for this gag that
this episode. Also, me and my fiance keep referencing the joke in episode 6 to each other. It's the only thing she thought was legitimately funny.
Okay, well, we'll see what joke that is. But yeah, so I think it has a thing that really stands out in terms of this thing it clings on to. The characters, I think there's enough interesting things. I don't know how much they really get there, but there's also a lot set up there for future episodes. And, this is 8 episodes. It's a first season. I think most shows struggle with this period. I think this show gets there a lot quicker than a lot of others do. And I also think, like, right away, episode 1, very solid. it just immediately digs into
episode
specific
2
plots.
has like so much in it.
Looking, you watch the show, you look back, it's like, really, all that happened? It's not consequential, but there's like a lot of stuff in their episodes.
Yeah, no, when you binge, it's kind of hard to like track. Because I did watch them in 4-episode chunks.
And if you like meta jokes, the show has an interesting relationship with Hulu and mentioning Hulu a lot. So
I will say, I do love me some meta jokes.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of those. I think there's a lot here. I'd certainly recommend checking it out. I know other people have been lower on it. But we'll see. I think it's worth seeing if you watch it. And I want to dig into more specific things. So let's put up a spoiler warning, and then we can get into wherever here.
I just want to say, still sort of spoiler free, but I will say something important for people who are thinking about watching the show. I feel like when you bring up Rick and Morty to people, they have the idea of the main character Rick being kind of very acerbic, very in your face. I'm smarter than you.
Right.
And I think an important thing to point out with Solar Opposites, it's definitely a much nicer show. Like
Corvo is not Rick.
Right, and like there's more effort made in themselves getting better, as opposed to like Rick and Morty, which is like, we're just gonna stay this way forever and nothing's gonna change. Like this one actually, like it's very basic story. I mean, most shows that we watch now are person starts meh and slowly they get better over the course of the show. Rick and Morty is one that often refuses to do that. Solar Opposites is more in the line of like, they're like finding their bearing. There's efforts being made to make them better people. So like, I would just say, like, if you're anti Rick and Morty because of that sort of stigma, Solar Opposites, at least in that sense, is not attached to Rick and Morty. It's definitely at times it can even be wholesome, which is like Rick and Morty.
Well, that's the thing. These characters are likable, which I think is is a very distinct. Like all 4 of them are distinctly likable, as opposed to like there's no Jerry.
Yeah. I think Corvo is still an asshole, but
absolutely.
but like it's really not on the. You're right. It's not on the same realm as Rick here.
Well, which as we'll get more into, like Corvo actually has some there are some sweet Corvo and Terry moments, and like Corvo gets just as excited about dumb shit like Terry does.
I think there's.
I think Corvo really sounds like Rick too, like the same, and so I think it takes a little bit to get the separation in your head, but I think they probably get there this season.
There's also the angle that he's not as competent, like he actually makes mistakes and he actually admits when he's doing things wrong, which are important, like very basic things, but they're important to how you perceive certain characters. So the fact that he has that is a big deal in terms of like getting attached to them a bit more quicker.
And like Rick, he'll just do whatever he wants. Corvo actually makes an effort to trick people into doing what he wants, but in a nice way.
It's interesting. Okay, well, so
I'm only referring to Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. Okay, we'll talk about Taco Tuesday.
Okay, Taco Tuesday is a spoiler, so let's begin.
Yeah, so kind of. Yeah. Okay, and I guess last thing, if we're giving caveats, is like there's a lot of gore in the show. So if that's
lots of
that's
gore.
A turn
it was. I think that might be the biggest. That was the biggest shock to me.
I think Rick and Morty has this. This show starts off with a lot of it, so warning for that.
Because like Rick and Morty, I'm prepared for some gore, but this was oh my god.
Yeah, it comes in hot. Let's put up the spoiler warning. So yeah, watch all 8 episodes of Solar Opposites. Come back here. Getting into spoilers starting now. So I think we can continue the conversation of how this compares to Rick and Morty. We talked about Corvo compared to Rick. That's a natural comparison. They have basically the same voice. And then they start to distinguish. It's not clear at first, but I do think they have a different personality the whole time and a different characterization, but it just takes you a while to separate the schemas in your head. I feel of the 2 characters, but Corvo's a scientist. Rick, Rick is stupid. He's this, I don't know, this normal government scientist, I guess.
Yeah.
He's not portrayed as this god specifically, although overall, all the aliens kind of get the god treatment relative to humans.
Yeah.
I think more so the replicants. I feel it comes across with the wall stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Okay. So compared to Rick and Morty, I mean, I think for the most part, it's decently similar. I do think, like I said, like Alex and I were talking about the credit text, the end credits, and the text itself.
I mean, I'm waiting for the crossover we're getting.
Yeah, well, we had the Simpsons crossover in the last episode.
That was so dumb.
I guess we're Fox. We can do that. That's all. There's a different company than Rick and Morty. So Delaney, were you coming in expecting like just Rick and Morty but a new show, and were you surprised that it was more different or less different?
I really was expecting just like Alien Rick and Morty, which I was interested by the concept. I was pleasantly surprised that it's a sitcom, like more sitcom. And again, it took a little bit to settle in, because the thing is, the first couple episodes, you're like, what's going on? Like, what are we doing? So I am surprised. I didn't want it to be Rick and Morty, because it's one of those things like we talked about with Rick and Morty. They have 100 episodes. Oh my god! But now it's like, good. I don't want lightning doesn't strike twice. Like, let's not like ride this concept out to like absurdity. This, I think, it is something different. It's just hard because it looks the same. And like,
does look similar, yeah.
It looks extremely. Granted, there is definitely I'll say there's a little bit more complexity to the animation in Solar Opposites, and they're definitely trying to make that connection. But this is like its own show. They probably exist in the same universe theoretically, but like this is. I like it. Like, I think it's nice. It's something different, and I think. It's an interesting concept. Like, we have like the Odd Couple sitcom with aliens, but then it's also like gory and like weird.
Yeah. Alex, how was this relative to your Rick and Morty expectations for the show?
Well, I knew it was a sitcom going in, but again, like I'm thinking back to when Rick and Morty has delved into that with the cable episodes, and they do their improv of fake TV shows. And so because you kind of already know the sense of humor that were displayed in those episodes, it translates a lot quicker to here. And that's where your mind is stuck with for the first couple of episodes. Like, yeah, these are like bringing a TV character to life. And it's like, oh yeah, like right. that serial sketch with the eye hole guy. Like, it's kind of, yeah, eye holes, man. Yeah, but like you're beginning to make these like connections to your brain. Like, I've seen this before, but so like you kind of, it takes a bit to disconnect that and like just let yourself enjoy the show that you're watching. Which I'm sure people who are like really big Solar Opposites heads right now are like annoyed that we're doing this much comparison to Rick and Morty.
Look, come on, this is the day after it came out. Who's a big Solar Opposites head?
Oh, there's heads for every show, Dylan.
He's not.
I mean, look, it is reductive to compare a show like so much to another show, but like this is, it's by the same people. It looks the same. It has a lot of the same crew. I think
the character sounds the same.
Yeah, so I think it's fair.
Right. So, but I reiterate, I think that but at least for me, it took until episode 3, like that episode was like, okay, like we're being funny with that independently, and like these are, it's a well thought out joke spread across the episode, and it's doing well. So there is where I began to be like, okay, yeah, this is a show I can get into.
Yeah. I think 3 is maybe like the 3rd or 4th best episode, and it's early on, so that's really good. Like that's like a big this show is good like kind of point. I feel like I think the show is what it is from the beginning. The problem is that it's just hard. Like for me, it's just like it's hard to wrap your head around that this is a separate show.
Yeah, I'll say actually, I rewatched the first 2 episodes today. I watched this all when it came out on Friday and last night. But I rewatched the first 2 episodes this morning, and I was like, yeah, these are pretty funny episodes. Which is a bit. It was my second watch is a little bit of a different reaction to the first time, where I'm still processing. But now that I know what the show is, I can go back to those 2 episodes and like just appreciate them for what they are.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to have expectations, and like it's different than if we were like, oh, this is a new show. Like, no, we're like, oh, it's Rick and Morty.
Yeah. I think once you've seen it all and the schema has been established in your head or whatever, I think the separate ones, I think you can probably that's interesting rewatching the first 2 episodes.
I will say I really enjoy episode 2.
I mean, 2 is, I'm looking at the stuff I wrote down for 2. There's a lot there, you know. I mean, 1 dives right into it with Fun Bucket, and it's like, okay. But the 2, I don't know, just murdering a bunch of people. So one of the things I had the hardest, this is early for this type of discussion, but I feel like the gore and violence was really leaned into in the early episodes, and that's not my favorite. So I think it took me a little bit to get past that, but I think the show leans off of it. Like 6, I feel like, is the only one later, and then 6 is like clear, handles it much better in a joking way, I feel like. But I feel like it almost felt like a crutch for the show early on that they got past pretty quickly. Like, I feel like with Rick and Morty, it's like, oh, we have a fight scene. We're going to do a bunch of smart robot stuff and kill a bunch of people. And, you know, I feel like the show's at its best when it's not doing something like that. So that's kind of how I thought. I feel like the show had to settle into that sort of thing.
Because, they're using it for shock. And, like, also, like, again, I'm also not a big fan of the gore. I can appreciate it to a point, like, when Pupa, like, he does all this crazy stuff just to get the guy's legs so you can get some candy. That's great. That's great.
Pupa, Pupa. We could talk about Pupa. Like,
I love Pupa.
The restraint, I feel like, until the last few minutes of the show, of the season, the restraint with the Pupa, I feel like, was high. Like,
yes.
That plot in episode 2, it's like, oh, what's he doing? And then the joke is like, oh, what's Pupa up to this whole time? How did he get his hands on that? And then they just take painstaking lengths to explain this, like, really smart, because he's like an evolved alien, the smart things they go through just to get a dumb thing. Like, that's a good joke.
So
That's the joke over and over with Pupa, but like,
like later when he like takes the old lady through like the acid trip, and he's like, there is a cabinet with batteries and a Harry Potter whistle, and like that is so funny. Like that is like so good. But then like there's other stuff, like I didn't really like what they did with the girl in the first episode, like.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking seeing her head cut open and stuff, but it's the first part of the epic journey of the wall. So,
it's true.
Shrinking down people, they put her in the thing, right? No, they better put her back to life. They put her back in the real world.
They put the janitor who figured it out.
The janitor. Yeah. Okay, there you go. I want to talk about the wall. Like, I don't know. I really feel like this is the thing, because here's a big difference from Rick and Morty. This show is more serialized early on. Already, the show is more serialized. This wall gag is pure serialization.
And it's incredible.
It plays out over the course of the season. But also the other element of serialization in the show is you start to learn more about what happened on their homeworld, the Schlorp planet.
That's the thing that is really, like, I think for me, that's the big draw to the show, is this alien, like, the alien backstory. Like, I really liked the final episode, and I liked anything where we were talking about Schlorp. Like, I want to know, like, the Replicants deal, like when we find, like when I was like, why, like they're the Replicants, and at first it was like, are they their children? Are they clones? Like, how does this, like, that's what I was about. Like
they subtly seed some sci-fi stuff. I agree. The Replicants is a great one. Because I'm like, here's the Replicants. They're their clones, and they grew their plants that grow, or everyone starts as replicants and they grow into normal people, and they're just a plant alien species. I'm still a little bit unclear, but at some point I'm like, oh, they look exactly like them. They're clones, right? I don't know. But there's stuff like that kind of like seeded throughout. And like Rick and Morty has a plot and has sci-fis, but it's just random. It's like some of the stuff comes together, and some parts of the show try to make it come together more than others. But this show has a backstory that it knows what's happening, and it's slowly revealing it.
Because like the comparison would be like the Citadel of Ricks, and like there's a Rick and Morty in every dimension and all that stuff. But like this is like, I'm not going to say this is more interesting, but this is more the core of the show.
I think so. And it's the intro, the intro is like, here's the backstory. And at first I was like,
and it's like Superman. Like, it's really funny because it's like the Supergirl intro.
It's a jarring intro, and
it is, because like that's the other thing too. That
I didn't realize it was the intro in the first episode.
Oh no,
it's like this is a backstory sequence, and then it repeats. And it slightly differs every episode at the end when
I do enjoy that when
Justin improving about something annoying about humanity. Okay,
yeah, I appreciate it. It's like there's one he says at the end that's like really stupid. Oh, he's like, why did y'all invent, like, why didn't y'all just have one language? And at first you're like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, so I don't get laughed at when I try to order cheese tube. So bad.
I enjoyed the one where it's like, you all say you love old people, but I fuck old people. It's just like, what?
I don't know if I caught that. I should have watched them all again. Okay.
I think it was like episode 4.
It took me like halfway through the season to realize they were different, honestly.
Wow.
And like Mabel's sweaters in Gravity Falls, Terry is wearing
Terry has a different stupid shirt every yeah.
And it's amazing.
I feel like that's a very Delaney joke.
It is. Oh, I know. The second episode, I was like, oh my god, is he gonna wear a new shirt every episode?
They're also like basic, like which is Terry, right?
They
like,
say like stupid shit on them, and they're like extremely like. But it's so funny because you know someone with that T-shirt. Like it's great.
Yeah.
Just briefly going back to the serialization conversation, I just want to say, like, the sci-fi stuff, I'll be honest, I was not that attached to. Like, there's not enough of it there for me to like feel attracted to. But the Wall, I will agree. I think that has more of the Tales from the Citadel vibe because like you're detaching yourself from the main story to go into like this like totally different society, and you're seeing the inner bowels, and it's a lot, and they're telling more emotional stories than you would with the funny alien duos. Like they're just like it feels like its own different show, and I'm fine with it. But I also like feel weird. Like, why does this make me feel more things in this sitcom show that's for laughs? Like it's definitely a tonal shift. Episode 7 specifically, and like I enjoy it a lot. I think that you said episode 6 was your favorite. I think that episode 7 is the one that the general public will see as the favorite, just because it's so different and it's going for a different thing than the rest of the show. And like I enjoyed it, but at the same time, like part of me is like, well, but like that should be like it's a whole other show. Like that has almost nothing to do with the rest of the tone of this show.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of the weird thing, right?
Totally fair, and that's part of the appeal. Like it's like maybe it's not like for some people it'll work better, but it's like this is so weird that it's like this show just becomes this for an entire episode and significant amounts of the plot. I agree. 7 is like the shocking standout in terms of like the one that pops, and I think 6 and 7 both are by far the best episodes of the show. 3 is also good, 8's also good. And we could go through the other ones, but just the way it like, okay, we're going to see episode 2, we do a small bit inside the wall. Oh, haha. It's like, oh, that was actually pretty engaging. Okay, 3, we go back to it and we do it a little more. Like, oh, this is really good. The recognition of the show that this like it's this kind of the standout bit of early episodes to then escalate it into its entire episode, I think is incredible. Like usually shows don't have the awareness of what's working to that extent.
Also, the way
before episode 7, I felt like I was really enjoying the wall stuff. Like it's not like they forced it. It felt like it built really well.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think what made me really love it was, this is so dumb, but like I don't think it might be episode 7, like because the name of the episode is like Terry and Corvo catch a bear.
Yes.
And like in the background,
and you see them with the bear in the background.
You see them getting prepared, like they have like honey, and like that's really what sold me. Like I was enjoying it before because again, granted, it's also like it's engaging because it's so stupid, but then it's also you've seen the storyline 1,000 times, so like it's just Mad Max, but they just happen to be in these tiny little it's interesting, but then it's like. But you can also space out just enough to really appreciate what's going on in the background. Because you can always see them doing something stupid. Like,
yeah.
And so I think that's for me that's like, you have this tiny universe, and then it's like they took the battery and they like just, like, what if you could watch the battery the whole time? So that's really what, like, and like the dumb stuff, like, oh my god, in episode 7 when they kill the mouse, and like me and my fiance are like really freaking mad, and then freaking Jesse's like, oh, it's getting weird in here. When's the last time you cleaned the wall?
She just scoops it out with the dead mouse the last episode. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's like, so, and just not referencing it except for like, like that.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like I think that's for me. It's like I don't know, like when you can see them doing in the background, like it's amazing. Like
that's really good. Yeah, just spending like, and it's all it is in episode 7. It's just kind of like a parody of these types of movies. Yeah, and it plays it completely straight. I love that. Like, it's just the humor comes from the nonsense, like, that they're the like objects they're interacting with, and the fact that they're tiny, and there's stuff in the background, and just like the fact that it's like, really, we're doing this, like, this is like the culmination in some ways of the season, is the wall gag in episode 7, and they like to change the credits and make it serious and stuff.
And then there's like the guy who's like has diabetes and they're only fed candy.
Yes, and but it's played seriously in the plot. I really feel like this is like Solar Opposites' thing. Like, this is the thing I'm gonna remember about the show, is the wall. Like, and in some ways, right, that's weird because it's nothing to do with the rest of the show. That's so like fucking weird. But this is like, that just separates it from Rick and Morty. Like, Rick and Morty, Delaney's right, did have like the universe inside a car battery, but it's not gonna do that as like, it's not gonna play it straight.
That's the
and
thing.
it's not gonna like seed it throughout several episodes.
Right. That's the thing. Like, I think that's what I appreciate about this, is like the sci-fi, like, you know, we're going to play it up for, like, you know, take it to absurdity, but like over the course of a season and like play around it.
Yeah. I feel like they've culminated the wall now. Like, I feel like 7 is like that.
Like,
so
the wall's over.
Can they come back to the wall? And like, what is the show without the wall? Like, I don't even know. Like, is there like season 2 doesn't have the wall? Like, what do we? I know we're doing the normal show, but like, is it going to work? Like, is like,
well, that's the thing too. And like, Yumulak like just literally shrinks like whoever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
So Jesse was like,
could do it again, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Now they only, like, after he shrinks.
He said Sherry. It's the last one, right? Or something, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, after you do this...
Yumulak has character growth, too, so...
He does. Oh my god, I can't... He does and he doesn't. Like, yeah. I'm sorry, the pretend deck was like a mess. Like, that messed me up. The whole episode like
that just messed me up?
Yeah. It messed me up. Like, it was a really good episode, but like, oh my god, it just went like off the rails at the end.
Yeah, I think it goes off the rails. I think it's kind of a neat resolution that it was all the simulation.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Like, I thought that was...
You think Yumulak's dead? And I'm like, are they really they could kill Yumulak.
Yeah,
why not?
I was messed up. I was like, oh my god, they killed Yumulak. But then when they're like, this is too many things to happen at once. Like,
it feels contrived as a finale. Yeah. Like,
for me, for me, that's what I will say. Like, I think it took me watching the episodes as a whole to like appreciate and to be like, I could watch more of this. Like, I think, you know, they really settled in, and then like episode 8 and then the stuff with the wall is really what cemented like, okay, this is going to have like crazy wacko bullshit, but then it's also going to be a sitcom and you like the characters. So like, I'm about it.
Yeah, and then there's also this like slow sci-fi stuff reveal that's kind of, and that's just really appealing to me. All those aspects combined together, and like, yeah, I don't think they should go back to the wall because I think that would feel like treading upon the same ground that season 1 was on.
And it's over. Like, Tim took over,
and Tim took over and a heel turn and killed Sherry. Yeah, oh my god, what a shocking moment. It's cable dramas could never what the show did in episode 7.
It was
but I think they need to find a new wall. That's what I'm thinking of. Right? Like, I think they should keep doing this type of thing, but you can't do it the same way. Just generally some like stupid like separate shit that you're gonna like build or do something with. Like find whatever the new wall is. I feel like that's how Solar Opposites maybe continues to succeed in this regard.
Yeah, it's just hard to imagine like. Because, like, I mean, granted, this would, I guess this is what we would call the mid-season finale. Or are we going to go straight into a season 2 kind of deal? Unsure.
Yeah, I think they're billing it as a season 2, but it's unclear. And the finale is like, this is contrived for too much happening, but then it's an anticlimax because nothing happens. So, except maybe the poopa's going off. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's supposed to be a cliffhanger-ish.
The pupa is like the best.
Yeah. So we're circling back to the pupa first. So I think the pupa in a lot of ways is just the same concept as a mooncake from Final Space, which is like this cute thing that can destroy a world. It's a good concept. I really like that with mooncake. But with the pupa, it's like we're going to do this to like terraform Earth, and it's like it's their device that's going to go off. And you need the mascot for this type of show.
Yes.
And the pupa it's like kind of cute, but also like weird looking. I think it works.
Yes.
And I think, like I said, I think they're pretty restrained with the pupa, and so I think probably now's the right time to have the pupa go off or do something with the pupa significantly.
Well, that's the other thing that's interesting too is they're like, yeah, when it goes off, we're all gonna die.
Yeah, they're them included. Yeah. So that would be interesting to see if that started happening. And then what's with the pupa credits in the last episode? What's with the
I loved it. It was so.
You would like.
Oh my
god.
Like that,
yeah.
I was.
It's like every animated movie from like 2005 to 2015, where like at the end the credits would just have the Madagascar movies had this, where like the characters would just be dancing during the credits. So, like I like to move it. Like that's basically what this is.
I think Solar Opposites is simultaneously like nothing and more substantial than Rick and Morty. It's like nothing is sacred in the show. Like they don't care about really, I feel like, anything that's happening. But also it feels like it feels like there's more plot and serialization there, and I kind of love that it's both of those things. So I feel like there's a lot of room here. Yeah. So I don't know. Any other wall comments? I feel like this is the mouse milk stuff in the, yeah. That's
like the best. Also, like, I thought he was just gonna die, and I was like, don't kill Molly.
Yeah, that savagely did.
That was messed up.
And we have to see it die. We see it drown.
Drown. It's messed up.
Yeah. The Duke and the hole, and it's like, oh, he had it the whole time. He knew this. He could escape. Yeah.
The wall is basically what it would be if we actually got our wish and had the evil Morty arc in Rick and Morty. That's
if the show just became really serious, and yeah.
Well, like if we actually checked in with evil Morty more often than twice in 3 seasons, like it would end up being equivalent to the wall.
It's like if evil Morty did not interact with our Rick and Morty and had a whole dramatic plot line, though. Like it's something separate, you know.
Well, Tales from the Citadel, right? Because that's like totally detached from our characters.
It is, yeah. So yeah, it is kind of like Tales of the Citadel, but but I think that's the good comparison to the episode, and then seeded throughout the season. Yeah, just love the wall stuff.
We need to talk about the religion. That's the best.
The religion of the Jesse religion. That's good.
Yeah. And then like they're treating it like civilization, because Jesse's like, things have been getting really weird since they invented religion.
Right.
Like,
Jesse like kind of understands what's happening, but doesn't care ultimately.
It's so, oh my god, it's so good. And then they have like the giant like gummy statue of Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse like is presenting as nice, and in some ways is nice, but is also very not caring about things. So,
she doesn't want him to put people on the wall, but she theoretically could free them all. But she doesn't. No.
Yeah, so she's really just as bad as the others, but she's just more sympathetic, kind of, and she like thinks she's better. Like it's almost like superficially she's
like when she murders her brother and turns into when they turn GameCube cartridges, like Game Boy cartridges. That was so fun. And then later when they're like, "Do you have the thing that turns into Game Boy cartridges?"
Yeah, that's good too.
I lost my shit. I was like, "This is great."
I'll say with the wall, Alfred Molina gives a really good performance as the Duke. He's again a good menacing mob boss. But I'll also say an issue with the overall show and focused on the wall. Like we have so many references to other movies and TV shows. Like it's a Duke film, Escape from New York. Okay, and just like have to expect people to know that. There's like Terminator and Predator jokes. There's them being in a Seinfeld room and some person who's supposed to be like Kramer comes in through the door. So like it can be funny referencing other things, but I do feel that the show it becomes white noise at some point, where like you're just saying movie titles and hoping that gets laughs because it's like it.
It's also dated.
So
yeah. Like the references are dated.
It's not a lot. Yeah, I feel like there's not a lot of current stuff.
Well, there's that in episode 2. There's like the neo-Nazis, and but she just blurts like, "This is like Green Room," like as if like like that.
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of that early on. I think 6 has that, but I think it becomes Terry's characterization. Like I feel like Terry is the guy that just watches movies and stuff and talks about it. Like I think that's pretty successful, that it like starts to narrow a little bit to just being part of this character. And then it's like applied specifically in episode 6. So I could agree with that. I don't think it matters. Like I don't think it's like,
I think for me, because they weren't like, they were literally, I do agree that it was white noise. I literally like didn't even remember half of the references because I either only vaguely understood the reference or I didn't care. Like, I love the Harry Potter whistle. That is so funny. Like, I don't know what's funnier to me, the fact that it was a Harry Potter whistle or if it was because he actually was playing it at the end. Like, it's so funny. Like,
it doesn't matter that it's there.
Well, my thing with like Harry Potter whistle, what does that even mean? Like, I was like, what the hell?
Stupid.
Right,
Yeah,
like
stupid.
you're getting the laugh just because it's something mundane associated with a movie, and like I don't know, like I'm sure that works for some people, but I think that this show does it so much.
Saw the whistle.
Well, yeah,
That's good. Did we like the Simpsons team up? That
no.
Well,
just because they could, just because it
because they could.
I thought it was like quick, so I thought it was.
It was
good.
very quick, though. Yeah. It was really funny when like he's like, "I made the mom robot, and she's 10% Marge because her hair's blue."
I thought that was probably a better Simpsons reference.
That was a really
Marge because she has blue hair. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
That's good. They also had the music.
Oh, and then and then also the Dave and Buster's hilarious.
Oh, okay, that was good.
Okay. Well, that's not like a reference to a show. Let's talk about episode 6. I've restrained myself long enough. That fucking man cave, that.
Do we have to get to gender politics this quickly?
It was not really quickly. We typically get there much earlier, Alex, in this podcast.
Oh yeah,
we do always talk about that. Look, I just want to talk about that fucking man cave.
Man cave.
I just want to talk about the man cave forever now. Just always talk about
so funny. And then I'm sorry, when they had the sign, I like lost it.
Big ol' Bix.
Yeah. Oh my god, I was like, yes.
That sign was amazing. 6. Okay, here's how I describe the Solar Opposites. There's a lot of parts that are good, but they haven't came together super well yet. Early on, and then randomly 6 is just like an incredible show. And then
they're just like, let's go.
8 is like not, it goes back a little bit, but it's clearly the show is capable. Like I feel like 6 is amazing start to finish. Like I rewatch, it's just so funny. I feel like it took me a few episodes to start really laughing too much at Solar Opposites, but it all comes together for me in 6. I mean, this is absolutely my type of humor, so I'm biased here.
Episode 6 is like one that like it just so she has to break a glass ceiling, hilarious.
Yes. And
then like the fact that they all come together at the end, and then even Yemulak's like, what the hell are y'all? Why have y'all been doing this?
Coming in at the end was hilarious. But there's like substance to it because you learn that they chose their gender, the replicants. Yeah. And then there's like commentary on her being genderless in her, and she has to like teach the Patricia robot not to define herself in relation to men. So it's also like substantial, but also ridiculous, and also as the gender.
And she's like, I'm gonna kill everyone.
Yeah. It being at Dave and Buster's is great. I appreciated that.
And then when she's blowing up the man caves, amazing.
So first of all, she starts blowing up all the man caves set to Katy Perry's Roar,
which is incredible. That is like the best.
It was. I was dying at that scene.
That's the first time I've heard that song in like 5 years.
Very reminiscent of the interview's use of Katy Perry's Fireworks. That's immediately what I thought of. And then she goes to, and she's actually even more gory, just killing all the men in Dave and Buster's.
Yes.
And I feel like that's hilarious too. Dave, in my experience, Dave and Buster's is generally filled with kids and not just all men. So,
as we all speak, since we have all been to Dave and Buster's together.
There's just a lot of like teenagers and children there, but there are some like adult men. But, like I feel it resonated enough to that extent. But
to be fair, we went to a Dave and Buster's in a mall.
Yeah, maybe it's different in a different place.
It was in a basement. It had arcade games. It was kind of dark.
I don't know. It looked the same. It looked the same. The Dave and Buster's in the show. I was like, this looks like my Dave and Buster's.
I mean, that's because all Dave and Buster's.
They also all look the same.
Yeah,
right.
They all just look the same.
What's the biggest man cave? Oh, it's Dave and Buster's.
That was so funny. I lost my shit. That was.
I think the actual biggest man cave would be a casino, but Dave and Buster's is like second.
Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, they could have gotten to a casino. I feel like this. I guess it's funnier because it's at a Dave, and the teacher is working there. Like the whole episode is just really well written and ties together well.
Well, I
really
think it's
enjoyed like and how she kept killing them with like things in Dave and Buster's, like when she knocked the wheel off and like killed them off the riding. It's so good.
Yeah, I think it's just as simple as they like chose something specific to make fun of, as opposed to like previous to that, it's generally like just doing dumb things and trying to fix it. But like here, like we're like at least making some kind of commentary, as silly as it is. But
hard-hitting Dave and Buster's commentary.
Yeah. But like there's something there.
What other parts of 6? Corvo and Terry making their own man cave. And
gay.
It's just so gay. Their man cave. It was so good.
Well, actually,
oh my god.
Well, one thing we haven't talked about with this show is that
we'll get to this. Yeah.
Okay. Well, like it connects with the rest of the show, right? That like we're a bit looser with, especially Jesse's sexuality. Kind of like goes back and forth throughout this season, and like it's treated very very trivially and like not given much attention. But like that's in itself a good thing. That
we'll get to. I want to talk about Corvo and Terry, and if there's a couple, we'll talk about that.
Oh my god.
They just set up the guy's man cave in this episode. You meant Terry, yeah. Terry, very, well, we haven't talked about Terry's character that much, but, very, like, effeminately presented. He's voiced by Thomas Middleditch. I think he's, like, really, really good at this role. I don't know, Terry just feels like a real person at some point. Yes. It's very interesting. I guess Corvo's funnier. In terms of the jokes. Also, I feel like this show is another great display of Justin Roiland's like comedic timing as a voice actor. Yes. It's just in the intro, for some reason he's like, and we had to go into the space. That's the best part of the intro. Like there's no reason why. Okay. But back to episode 6, and we have the whole thing of Jesse. She's trying to find a glass ceiling to break, and it's okay, good, everything.
Also, that entire sequence is hilarious.
Which sequence?
Like when Jesse's like, she goes to the football team and they're like, oh no, we got a dog. And then like, they're like and then they're like, you can be the quarterback. And the quarterback's like, yeah. And then they go to the lacrosse team and they're like, the football players.
Delaney with the best, the gamers though. That was probably your favorite part though.
That was my favorite part. That was
the esports team was all girls already.
Yeah. And he was like, am I the only guy?
Been using some very coded language. Yeah.
So
that was good. The Patricia robot and Corvo is liking being emasculated by her.
It's so good.
That was quite a detail to stick
we dig into it a lot.
We do, and then like the part in the kitchen where he's just like more.
Yeah, she has the speakers and she's playing like the laugh track and stuff. And
the laugh track got me.
She's momming Terry. That's good too.
I always enjoy when cookies come out of her boobs.
Yeah, cookies in the boobs. A lot of stuff coming out of the robot boobs. There's a lot of rockets coming out and fights and stuff.
What I got, what I wanted, which was rocket boobs, which is like the most thing. When you have a female robot, she has to have rockets shoot out of her tits. It's important. Like
it's important. Yeah. And it's just I feel like this episode's the best anime. I mean, maybe 7, but just the fight scene, gag stuff in episode 6. She said, Jessie, she said she's a genderless alien plant when she's, sticking up to Patricia. And then they bury Patricia with the male dick robot in the backyard in a shipping container.
The fact that Korvac said cuck, I was like,
did you say cuck?
Yeah, at the end they stick that like real weak guy in there, and he
he's the cuck robot. Yeah. Okay, I misheard.
Yeah, when she was like, I built you a cuck robot, and I was like, did you just say that?
Did some other? I feel like another Rick and Morty say cuck at some point. I feel like some.
Yeah, I just wasn't prepared.
This reminiscent of the one Black Mirror episode where they put the robot in the attic at the end. Yeah. That's what that reminds me of. I don't know what this was, if this was a reference to something, but it was, and she's just like criticizing him as they're buried.
And they're like, we can come out here and know that she's buried in the backyard. Like, okay.
Stupid. And then Yumulax Baggies, I was saving koalas this whole time.
It's adorable. Great. And it's a video of him like chucking koalas back into the zoo. And then Corvo's like, this zoo is big enough for hundreds of koalas.
Yeah, that line read, how does the zoo have the capacity to house hundreds of koalas? Yeah.
So funny.
That was Justin Roiland being so good at that one.
That part really got me.
That was, for whatever reason, that's just a really big laugh out loud line, I feel like. I don't know, I'm telling you, start to finish, I feel like episode 6,
it's so good. I'm
gonna rewatch it again. I just need to talk about those fucking man caves.
And then whenever the boys, you just draw a fucking lightsaber.
The boys can draw a lightsaber, instead, because you need to learn that you have it easy early. Yeah.
And then there's a line too where Yemi likes, I told you when I chose to be a boy that you just explain things.
Yes.
Better.
Yeah, and he's like, and once I chose to be a boy, then I explained to you that I was superior as a
Oh my god, that's so good.
That line's really good too. Yeah. Okay, we did a full recap of episode 6. It deserved it.
Briefly, as the resident football fan here, I'm very.
Oh yeah, the color brown versus the Jets.
Joke of the Flying Jets are taking on the color brown. We are fans of the color brown here.
Yeah, that was really good.
It's basic, but it works. The best part is them just sitting there, just like, wait, I'm bored now. What is this?
Yeah.
As soon as they are over fandom, it's like, wait, I don't get it.
They picked the right team with the color brown. So
they did.
I feel like that worked. And then there's the fish that was suffering. Their replicated fish. Okay, there's a lot here. And the Diggle, the eggplant Diggle Bix. It's so good. It's so good.
That part was actually my favorite.
It's okay. Okay. Sequel podcast continuing just to talk about episode 6 when. That's my. I don't know, is this my favorite TV episode of the year? That's crazy, right? That's not true, right? But
it might be your favorite comedic episode.
Yeah, I think
it has everything that appeals to Dylan. It has stupid humor, there's a killer robot, and then on top of that, it's a feminist episode, but not, and it's so funny.
Yeah, I'm biased. My type of humor, but
it even has where she makes her own club, and the male allies shout her down.
Yes,
it's so good.
Yes. Is it all good? Patricia Robot really good the whole way.
Can I just say that better feminist jokes than the recent episode of Rick and Morty? Just gonna throw that out there.
It's reminiscent of the Bechdel test stuff. I think this is digging in more than the Bechdel.
Exactly. It's trying to say something.
It's you're saying it is better than the Rick and Morty. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Rick and Morty, it's 22 minutes compared to
Rick and Morty, when they try to touch on these things, they try to not take a side as much as possible. Whereas this is going the opposite way. Take a side and just run all the way through with it.
I agree. Also, I believe episode was female written and directed. I feel just well done the whole way through.
It was so funny.
Yeah. Okay. What else are we talking about? Okay. Let's Corvo and Terry.
Yay.
You start the show. I'm disappointed. This is my most disappointing part of Celebrity.
Pull the trigger. Just make them gay.
You start the show and you assume that they're gay because they're two dads and there's kids. Just assume, and then I feel like they go to painstaking lengths to explain that they're not together.
Yes, but then they go to bed together, and you're like, what the hell is going on?
Maybe they started because you see in episode 8 they just met each other for the mission. They were assigned together, but maybe now they're a couple. Yeah, maybe that's the twist.
Maybe they can fall in love. I'm fine with this.
Because they mention finding female partners in random lines throughout, and then it's but really they're gay.
And then Terry makes comments when he was I'm gonna go to Las Vegas and rescue a sex worker, and he was and he said something she or him,
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Also, Terry makes jokes being married to Ansel Elgort. It's it's sprinkled, especially with Terry throughout the season. But at the same time, it's you wish. I'm okay with it being sprinkled and used as jokes because it treated like any other relationship, but at the same time actually make it happen,
and when he goes through when he's sleeping up with everyone at college, there's one guy.
Oh, there is? Yeah. Okay, I missed that.
So.
There was literally 8 women and it was one dude.
I like Dumb Corvo. That maybe was the least memorable episode for me.
Dumb Corvo was really funny.
Yeah. And you write a screenplay for? I don't remember that joke. Yeah.
Ted 3.
Ted 3. Okay. Yeah.
The pinnacle of smart people cinema.
Oh
Mark Wahlberg.
No, and they were we're trusting you to be smart. And
yeah, he's I was. Yeah.
And then he shoots him with the rope net. Just like
I feel like you make Corvo and Terry, because I feel like that was like shocking in the beginning. Was that that it seems like they're a couple, but just go through with it. I think that's the season. That's the way to go with season 2. I want to mention that I've seen a lot of like tweets and stuff that in episode 2, I think they have the thing where they go to a commercial break and it's like, oh, unless you're a Hulu paid member, Mr. Moneybags. Yeah. I think people appreciated that. They say Hulu a bunch. It's good.
I enjoyed it. Like, they also mentioned something that I've never even heard of before. It was like he has like a Hulu tablet or some shit, and he's like,
I don't know. If they mentioned that, I didn't pick up on it.
I think they're making fun of like the Amazon Kindle or whatever.
Like a Hulu vid. Like, I don't even know. Like, it was. Every time they mentioned Hulu, I thought it was amazing. Like, I really enjoyed that.
I think probably my favorite one was there, like, you just gotta, like, sneak in, pretend you belong there, and eventually it'll be legitimate, like Hulu. Like, I was like, I didn't, because that's how I feel. Like, when did Hulu really become such a thing? At some point, it's just like, okay, that checked out for me.
I believe the guy who owns the mouse says that he used to be the CEO of AT&T. Is that right?
Yes. That was good.
Well, and somehow I felt for him later when he loses his mouse, even though in his past life, I'm sure he was a real big old bick.
Yeah, dig old
bick.
Yeah.
Well, he farted and blamed it on Yumulak, and he got shrunk.
Yes. Just learning the reasons they all got pissed off the alien boy
Good job, boss of the conglomerate that we are watching product of.
Is that? I don't think this. I think
I lose track of what everybody owns. Okay, I'm sure
Hulu, Fox wraps up to Disney now. I don't know, but I feel like Hulu's split or something. Whatever. Who knows? Anything else? So sci-fi. So I like it. They just start saying sci-fi stuff in the show as like in reference to the weapons and like devices that they use. They just call it sci-fi stuff.
We're going to do some sci-fi shit to the school. Yeah.
I don't know if that's there from the start. It feels like it's like, okay, it's just like, obviously it does not make sense that they're calling it sci-fi stuff, but they become assimilated to Earth culture, so maybe it does make sense. I
really enjoy it. Like, the kids say it all the time. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Maybe they know, like, we don't know what the replicants were, how old they are, or what they knew of the home world of, Schlorp, like no effort to make this not as dumb Justin name with Schlorp, like just
it's true.
Okay, that's fine. It's part of the brand, I guess. But so I don't know. Maybe they know Earth more. I want to know what's up with the replicants. More of a backstory with the replicants.
I think they're the really shining. Like for me, they're the real shining. Like their relationship. I mean, like because like Corvo and Terry, like they talk a lot about how becoming a family, but like. They refer to each other as siblings. And, like, they definitely have that whole, like, sibling relationship, and, like, they crack me up.
Yeah, surprisingly a strong sibling relationship found in Solar Opposites, with the plant replicant, genderless plant replicants of Yumulak's a Digglebick. I feel like he gets
absolutely.
But,
he says terrible shit.
He's like he should have been condemned in episode 6. He shouldn't get to go away for the whole time, but that's okay. We kind of reference it.
No, but look, he gets his comeuppance in episode 8 because nobody can possibly believe that he's capable of being nice until he gets murdered.
And it seems like he grew a little bit at the end there because it turns out to be him. But it is all a simulation, so maybe not.
Yeah.
And he comes in with snacks, and he's like, "How long have y'all been in here?"
Yeah. I appreciated Jason Mantzoukas' Vanbo in episode 8.
Vanbo was great. Okay, I'm sorry. The Terry's life mate shit was hilarious.
Terry with an eye.
I'm Vanby. That was really funny.
That smoke show, Terry, with an eye.
Jason Mantzoukas has a real knack for playing annoying characters.
Yeah, that's it. They pigeonholed him as that.
Oh, I really enjoyed when like they come back like, is Vanbo here? No, and then he's on an errand, and they're like, no.
Yeah. Okay, Delaney. Any other things from any episodes you want to bring up or topics you want to get into at Solar Opposites?
I think there are some really good jokes. I think the one thing really is just I do think it gets less gory towards the end, which is what I like prefer. I expect gore, but like they went like all out. Oh, I got to see my joke where they're like, we don't have noses.
That's the thing is that starts episode 6. It's all there. It just randomly starts with that. Yeah.
Because we've seen that in the trailer.
That was the first thing we saw from the show, and it's not until
I know. And Dylan was like, Delaney, you have to watch this. It has your favorite kind of joke, which is true. I love character model humor. It's so funny.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. And there are a lot of Delaney jokes.
There are a lot. And just like the Harry Potter whistle, hilarious.
Apparently, that's.
I'm sorry. It's just the fact that I was like, "What the hell is a Harry Potter whistle?" Then he has a Harry Potter whistle, and then he plays Hedwig's theme on it. It's hysterical.
It's really dumb. Yeah. Okay. We've given it a lot of time, but it's good. Okay. Anything else? Any other Harry Potter whistle?
I like the gooblers.
Oh yeah, they when they're stressed, they like sweat gooblers.
I too have a lot of gooblers. Yeah. Also, the red goobler, amazing.
Yeah, and that actually feels like a sci-fi thing I haven't seen in a show before. So like,
it's like a consistent detail. Yeah.
I forgot my actual favorite thing is when they call Yummy like Yummy Bear.
Yummy Bear, okay.
Yummy Bear.
Yeah,
because they like have their they have like their groups. Because they do like the alien pollen thing, and it totally doesn't go where you think it's going. Like.
Yeah, I did like the Yummy Bear. And the Goobler, I like that they're you see them like sweating the Gooblers several times throughout I think that's good, yeah.
And then freaking Pupa keeps eating them, and they're like, "Don't eat the Gooblers!"
Yeah. Yeah, the Pupa. The Pupa is with a bunch of iconic animals up for auction and then freeze.
I think there were 2 different Paddington Bears in there.
You know what? Okay, I died when I saw Paddington Bear, and also when they were doing the auctioneer guy was like, SpongeBob SquarePants, and then he stopped.
Oh yeah, who do they call SpongeBob?
He's the Pupa.
The Pupa. Okay. Oh yeah.
No. When I saw Paddington Bear, I like lost my shit.
Yeah, that's good.
And they have like Donald Duck and like Mickey Mouse.
There's just like a little mouse in red pants.
Yeah.
And it's like a duck just dressed up as Donald Duck. It's great.
Yeah. We didn't give enough time to the episode 3. Now you see meing everything.
No, I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Because that it's so funny.
They murder Penn and Teller.
I
and they're
know.
Not even named.
That's what and then they were like, "We killed that guy."
It's like fake magicians, and then they murdered like Penn, right? Like
they killed Penn and Teller. It's amazing.
At 3, the spiritual companion to that "you son of a bitch, I'm in" Rick and Morty episode, right? Like, it's same kind of joke.
Yeah, where it's like him like thinking something is stupid, but going through with it just to like get something unrelated done.
Oh, I really enjoyed when like they were like, "Oh my god, that was so great," and he was like, "I'm leaving you now." Like, and Jerry was like, "You're fame drunk off of one performance."
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that, and then they just take it. I think actually my favorite part is when he's like. When he faked his own death and they're not mad about it. They're like, wow, that was so great.
Yeah, I want to watch 3 too. Yeah, that's probably another good one too. I feel like they cited Now You See Me for that Rick and Morty episode as inspiration. Like, I feel like that's the start of Dan thinking this type of episode's dumb, and then this type of movie's dumb. And then they just we do another one. I feel like it's distinctive enough that it works separately from that.
Because it's mixed with the prestige.
I guess so. I guess that's
also,
what's happening.
It is funny though because they literally said "Now you see me," and then he's like, and he watches it and he's crying, and then they like show the scene.
I think that's a good use of a reference because I feel like
it's funny.
Yeah, so I would cite that, but usually they're just passing and not built into the episode.
Yeah, no, it's really funny. He's just like crying. And he's like, and then Woody Harrelson said, "It's amazing." Like that's really good.
Okay, Alex, any closing stuff on Solar Opposites?
Tiffany Haddish as the AI, I feel very underused. She was great in like the brief moments that she got, but like I'd like to see more of that character. Last episode and a little bit in the Magic episode, and that's kind of about it.
But like, considering it's you'd think there'll be more from that character in quotes because it's Tiffany Haddish, so maybe I don't know,
maybe there's more later, but I think that's a character that could use a bit more more stuff.
She has great lines.
Yeah, principal and teacher having sets in the school.
Oh, that's a good gag. Yeah.
Okay, you liked it. Okay.
I think it's very basic.
Yeah.
But
I think what made it funny for me was like they kept doing it. Like the first time, they as the continued like.
It's like this pretty much the same dynamic as Mr. Burns and the teacher lady from Simpsons, but so you got that. But yeah, overall, I think Solar Opposites is a solid show. This is like one of these joke per minute shows where like they're throwing so much stuff at the wall that you're bound to like some parts of it, no matter what.
That's true.
It's definitely worth a try, and I think that when it gets more focused in what it's trying to say in the later episodes is when it's at its best. So, especially considering the time we dedicated to episodes 6, 7, and 8, I think that's evident there. So, give it a try, and I'd suggest trying to hold on for the whole season since you'll be rewarded if you make it there.
I mean, at this point, they've probably seen it.
Yeah. I always forget that at the end of these. I was like, God, you've already seen it. Why am I talking about how you should watch?
That's like you're restating your thesis at the end. That's solid essay writing. That's fine. It works here. It works as a conclusion.
I'm being a real Corvo right now, just talking like an essay.
You are, yeah. I think you are a Corvo. No, you're. I don't know. You made
I don't
the
think
references.
Alex is Terry.
I think you made the references. I feel like there's a little bit of Terry there. Okay. We'll have to go through and say which we'll make the which Solar Opposites character.
I did reference the Madagascar movies at some point.
Yeah, no, it's you you're Corvo with some Terry references in there. I think that's a good combo.
I will say that one joke of like, how did the sunglasses stay on Morpheus like that?
And then he duct tapes into his face.
Yeah, that's the episode they lean into, and I feel like it becomes assimilated with Terry character.
Kentucky, important.
The what?
They mentioned Kentucky.
Yes, when?
There's a derby joke where like we should wear dumb hats.
He's like, I want to go to Kentucky and wear a dumb hat. And then he's like, and I have a great name for a horse. Horseus.
Gronk Patriots jersey. Already outdated. Huzzah.
Yeah, they couldn't have changed that to no, not worth it probably. That was the right jersey for him to be wearing, right? That checked out. I agree. Solar Opposites, we just referenced like 100 plus gags we liked from like it is like a good. There's a lot positive there, but yeah, I think it just comes. It's about like it coming together in a way that works for the structure that works for the show. And I do think it gets there at the end. So I'm pretty bullish on the show going the next season because I think like the early episodes have a lot of funny stuff, but overall, maybe it doesn't make for like an amazing TV. But then when you get the later episodes, it's like really funny, and it does make for a great TV episode. So if they keep that up through all of season 2 and beyond, I think this could be like a really good adult comedy, maybe in the vein of Rick and Morty. I don't know. I think it has that potential.
I think for me, that's why I think I was resisting at first because like. My fiance was like, it's like Family Guy and blah, 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 blah. And like, I don't like Family Guy. I do like The Simpsons in chunks. But like, Family Guy, American Dad, like, I don't like those shows. And I think the show, it's going to be like, it wants to be that, but like better. Like it's Rick and Morty.
Yeah. You get the sitcominess from a Family Guy. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. The sitcom
and it is, but it's better. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's the adult animation sitcom, but like better. And like for me, episode 6 really sold it. And like, if we can keep doing stuff like that, like, it'd be funny, but then also like you can do funny things like, making fun of the patriarchy, but also making fun of like breaking glass ceilings. But like when you do it from like the right perspective, it's not only funny, but it actually does something. So I'm hoping for more episodes like that. So I would say I am like, I will watch more. I'm not going to go ahead and say like I love this show or anything, but I definitely enjoyed what I've seen.
Yeah, I think that's the battle of adult animation, right? Like, there's so much cynical stuff out there that like turns some people off, like Family Guy, South Park. To an
There's
extent,
cynical, and then there's like pointless.
right, and I would say to an extent, Rick and Morty gets cynical at times, and that can be a turnoff for some people. But I think Solar Opposites lands on the side of being more earnest about things, while still being an adult show, while still making adults level jokes and using gore and cursing and all that stuff that makes it quote adult animation, but it does it in a way where like it doesn't feel like it's doing making fun of everyone with no consequences whatsoever. Like it's making fun of the right things. So in that sense,
We don't want I don't want that punching down.
Yeah. That's always the thing to watch out for with these shows, but I think Solar Opposites does a good job, and that's why I'm happy that it exists, and I am excited to see more of it, especially because of that second half.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely think so. So we'll be excited when we see Solar Opposites Season 2 on Hulu. Let us know what you thought of all of Solar Opposites Season 1 and our discussion on it. Leave it in the comments, overlyanimated.com, youtube.com/overlyanimated. Talk about it with us on our Discord at overlyanimated.com/Discord, and support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patrons podcast, Simon, and thanks to Zoe, Star Patron Executive Producers Ryan, Steve Alex, Beatrice, Hugh, Michael, and Needle. We do cover Rick and Morty on semi-regular, sporadic basis now. Check out our recent discussion of episode 6 of season 3, which we've referenced, I think, in this podcast and season 4 and previous Rick and Morty ones as well. And we'll be back to talk about Solar Opposites probably whenever it comes back. Probably no second Solar Opposites podcast, unless I want to do this full episode 6 recap.
Unless we get another episode 6.
Yeah.
Unless it makes the best of 2020 podcast.
Ooh.
I mean, honestly, this is like borderline,
Like it'll be a best new
show
show candidate for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm like, if Solar Opposites Season 2 is strong, this is like a potential best show nominee. Like I'm
true
that high on. Like, I mean, it requires a continuing the level it got to.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see. But yep, I think it was good. It was fun. Thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.